Well, well, well. I am I am so tickled pink. Oh, now with George. We loves George. George, we loves you.
No, I'm still here. Something's going on.
Yeah, you're just like P. Dinah. Oh, there you are. There you are. P. Dinah is having a hard time with her computer. I hate technology. I really do hate
You and me
technology.
both.
Oh, are you kidding? I see your videos. I don't
I
even
know, but I
know.
can't stand technology.
But how do you edit them? 'Cause
I
I
have
can
an
do
I have an editor because I am completely I
Oh,
I am completely nope,
oh,
not
that's
my area.
do it. That's how you do it.
Yeah,
Okay.
not my
Well, okay, George, how are you? And I've been watching your channel. Thanks for coming here. How have
absolutely.
you been?
Doing well, moving forward. Yeah, working on another monologue, working on another Harry Meghan video, and working on some new pieces, but doing well. Thank you for having me on.
No, no, thank you for coming here. I'm so glad to have you here. I saw your woke monologues, and it is so striking because we're going to show you some clips and we're going to put you the clip so you guys go see it because it's like, listening to it, it's like you go, yeah. Yeah. I didn't oh, I know where I was. I was doing I have a Spanish channel, and sometimes I collaborate with other Spanish YouTubers. And right in the middle of the live, then we have a Vemos Papam,
Mhm.
like the Pope. We have a Pope. And then hello, Claudia Salas. Yes, yes. Yes, yes. He looks like Mr. Big from yes, he does. Hello,
Thank you.
hello.
Thank you.
Welcome him to the community. He's the God here. So and everybody was and I said, who is it? Who is it? Because they hadn't named him. Oh, when they said it.
Hopefully,
And I mean I was because he's the same line as the previous Pope. Here's Pidina. Hello, Pidina.
Hello. Hi, George. I am so
hi.
sorry. I don't know why it wasn't connecting.
Oh, it happens. I'm the same way with technology. I feel like I touch it and it breaks.
Yeah, it's crazy. Crazy, crazy.
So we're so excited to have you because I was just talking to George Pat about the monologues that he did because
Hmm.
you explain it so well why people like Blake Lively, Amber Heard, Meghan Markle, um, and I mean Jada Pinkett Smith, all these corrupt people, why they happen, and why it's so hard to get them out of why it's so hard to call them out, literally.
Well,
You
well, I
know,
think it's. Oh, and sorry for interrupting. What I think it's the same reason why. Like, let's look at a decade ago, a decade, maybe 2 decades ago. What happened this week would have been the complete end of the Megans. Same thing with Blake Lively. Last night they went to the
Beyonce.
Beyonce con. Right.
Hmm.
What do? They show the pictures of themselves, the cowboy hat, and then Megan flips and shows the cowboy hat, right? And it
Hmm.
says, Archie and Lilibet. And you think about that for a second. You have a father who's missed his son's birthday 6 years in a row, jet
Yeah.
set, party, award shows, blah, blah, blah. Attacks his family. She does an interview, one of the cringiest I've seen, basically went full blown malignant narcissist. And then
Yeah.
at the end of the week, wants to go party, but wants to
Hmm.
send everybody a message. Look, our kids are with us. No, they're not. They're not with you. And a decade ago,
Hmm.
people would have been like, you know what? This is a hypocrite. No one would be following them. They wouldn't have a Sussex. They wouldn't have 5 people. That shows you
Hmm.
the corruption of the culture. And that's one of the reasons I can't stand them. Is
Hmm.
they are the pinnacle of the pop culture pimple that just basically needs to be popped and
That's a good
scrubbed.
analogy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this
I.
is one of the things, Pinana, just let me say,
Hmm. Okay, go ahead.
Pinana and I were talking yesterday about this because about some personal things I'm going through, right? And
Hmm.
then I was like, these people never seem to get what's coming to them.
Hmm.
It seems like rather than being called out, they band together and they pretend nothing is wrong. And all these people band together. And it
Hmm.
makes it sound like they want to throw their lie in your face, and they think that the lie in numbers is gonna make it true. It's bigger than your facts.
Hmm.
Sorry about
Yeah.
that. Go for it.
Yeah, I think the problem that Meghan and Harry have is that there is a lot bigger voice of people that speak out against them that are for them. So we will see them, of course, try to get their supporters or to get themselves to post and make it look like everything is okay. But at the end of the day, these are people that are not doing good things. They're going against the grain of what people find acceptable, and they can pretend as much as they want and try to make it look like everything is good, but underneath it all we have a history of not doing things the right way, going against the royal family in a way that is completely abhorrent to a lot of people, because you've done horrible things to the queen, you've done horrible things to your ailing father. So yeah, try to make it look like it's all good. You'll get a little bit of credit here and there for a little bit of time, but it's not sustainable. Nothing that they're doing is sustainable. I know I'd probably do what they're doing too if I were in their situation, but it's just not going to be a long lasting thing that they're trying to make it look like. I really think they are going to face so many more problems later because this relationship cannot sustain all the backlash, all the problems, the financial, the career successes that they're trying to get, the being away from your family, your culture, your children are being raised without being around your family. Harry is losing out. And, for all intents, I mean, I think personally, this man may have been on drugs. He has his moments where he's probably feeling good, going to Beyonce, we're partying, we're having fun right now. But long term, the Paolo and what's happening to this man, he will not last in this position of what he is going through in his life right now. It just won't happen. I don't believe it.
I agree with you. I agree 100%. And I think their actions, like everyone's, they speak louder than words. I don't think they're having a good time.
Hmm.
If you're having a good time, you don't go on every show and go, I'm having a great time. That Jamie Carlina, I am happier than
Yeah.
ever. It's like we've all had bad days. Every human has a bad day.
Oh,
When I've had a bad day, you get family, friends, coworkers are like,
mhm.
George, yeah, you look like you're having a bad day. No, I'm not. I'm having the greatest day. They're like, look at your face, dude. It's like, yeah, I
Hmm.
can tell your smile. She can put on the whole act, but you can't turn around and say, I'm the happiest ever. I'm the most in love ever. This is my. These
Hmm.
things feel false because no one speaks that way.
Right. No one speaks that way. Absolutely. And I think when you're happy, you just are. And,
Exactly.
and if you're living the greatest life ever, just live your great life. Don't go on these shows and try to talk about how, I think basically respond to what people are saying on social media because they read it. She definitely is looking at what people are saying and trying to go against that when she goes on these podcasts, when Harry goes and does an interview. If you don't listen to social media, if you are truly not in that world, and you're happy, you're not doing what they're doing. You're just living the greatest life ever. And you don't care what people are saying because, hey, life is good. But because life is not good, you have to go and try to convince people that life really is good. And you have to do clapbacks at people that are saying things about you by doing these interviews.
Exactly.
So they're not fooling anybody. You are hurting yourself. And the biggest victims are going to be these children. Now, I know I get a lot of people to say these kids don't exist. I don't understand that. I really don't. I see kids. I do see kids that don't look the same. Like there was this picture on X with Archie, two different pictures of Archie. I was like, that doesn't look like the same child. So there's definitely something happening there with the kids. I can't pinpoint it. There's no evidence of it, but something is happening. But at the end of the day, this is a couple. It's a losing battle for them.
I agree. Again, I agree. That's why I love you, ladies. I agree 100%. As far as the kids, what I see, regardless who's what, there are kids there. They're treated, and we've seen it. See, for people who aren't on social media, you nailed it there. They may not know these things. So they're responding to social media. They're responding to the news, but their responses in themselves are what give them away to
Yeah.
normal viewers who don't pay attention to social media. Again, because no one goes, Yeah, 6 years later, we're in our honeymoon period. What couple do you know is in their honeymoon period? You could
Right.
have the love of your life. You go up, you go down, you go left,
You
you go
don't
right.
say that. Yeah.
Because it sounds phony. And
Mhm.
then what have they done with the children? 5 years. We get nothing. It's
Yeah.
like sightings of them. I mean, we saw Bigfoot sightings more than we saw them. And all of a sudden you get,
Right.
and that's what they're treating them like. Meghan is treating it exactly like this is a teaser for an upcoming
Mhm.
film. You get a shot of the
Mhm.
back, you get a shot of the hand, you get a shot of a
Mhm.
side of a face, you hear a little voice, and then you get a full back. And you're like,
Mhm.
that's what you call a prop. That
Yeah.
it's not a child, that's a prop.
It's a prop.
And I think the lizard brain, I think people instinctually, that's where they go, there's something wrong, but I can't put my finger on it.
Right.
There's something here that feels wrong. How do you constantly tell people when they're in Nigeria, Colombia, Invictus Games in Canada, we love our children more than anything. Oh, I would have been here faster, but I had, do a school drop off. I had to get a hamburger. It's like, really?
Mhm.
Then how come you never home? How come you had time to go to a concert last night to take pictures, which parents do? It's the contrast. You go to a concert, you post it everywhere. You go have your husband attack his family, attack a father battling cancer, a dying king,
Mhm.
and you have time to go do an interview. But when it comes to your children, where are the actions? All we see are words.
Yeah.
That's what I think sticks out. And again, I think if this was a decade ago, maybe two at most, they would have no one writing about them. Some, I'm talking about some magazines would do this, but they would have no supporters because of the fact that they are corrupt to the core. And people who accept them show exactly where their moral foundation is, that they have none. Because if you're going to support Meghan and Harry, you're going to say, well, I support a pair of hypocrites who cut a father out, who attack a queen who's dying, who attack a prince who's dying, who use them, who attack a king battling cancer, who use a princess who's like, you're like, what does that say about those people?
Exactly. Or it says that they don't know anything that's happening. They are just blindly following Meghan and not really understanding the royal family and what has actually happened. They're just living their lives and oh, there's this girl Meghan, she reached out to me. Oh, she seems nice. I'll befriend her, but not really understanding what she has done. And I think that could be the case for some of these people, or they just don't care because it's the royal family. We have to, I mean, I don't know, George, how you see it with Americans in the royal family. There's not a lot of people that are just following the royal family or understand the monarchy. And I think that's what Meghan relies on. She relies on the people that don't really want to look over across the pond at what's actually happening to understand, what Meghan has done to the royal family. But, we see people that just kind of show up because, they want to be nice. I mean, I actually knew a lady that worked with Meghan on Suits. And she says how nice she was. She was so sweet, but she knows nothing about the royal family, what Meghan has done since when
Right.
she moved into, the royal household and like does. But she was nice to me. Well, yeah, she was nice to you,
What if
but
you want?
I mean, that's just not her character to be just what you're saying. Look at what she's done to other people. There's context there. So yeah, I think that's part of the problem too.
I think the everybody that I've seen has either they had a one, everybody loved Queen Elizabeth to one degree or another. They were like, oh,
Mhm.
Queen Elizabeth, great. So they had an understanding of the royal family or a respect for the royal family, or they're just like, it's not my cup of tea. Me, I grew
Yeah.
up always loving and respecting the royal family. I
Mhm.
would say this: Meghan and Harry in America have woken up more people to the royal family. Now they're
Yes.
gonna go, we're Americans, we don't we can respect them from afar, but they don't like what they've been saying because of the treatment. And I actually think, again, they're doing more damage because they wake people up and go, what is this constantly Meghan and Harry, Meghan and Harry, Meghan and Harry? And there's so people get curious, they go down that internet rabbit hole and then
Mhm.
start discovering, well, wait a minute, wait a minute. She
Right.
did this, he did this. I mean, how do you go when she did that Jamie Kern Lima interview? Correct me if I'm wrong. That was 24 hours before Prince William and Princess Catherine's wedding anniversary, wasn't it?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 24 hours before. It's like everything is always scheduled to interfere,
Yes.
to attack directly or covertly.
Exactly.
And then you had
Mhm.
Harry in that interview. How the royal family, it's like I agreed with Piers Morgan when he says, take their titles now. And I've been
Yep.
researching this. I've been working on a video about him. I'm not a lawyer, but I've been researching it and researching. I'm like, okay, so I finally went through everything. I'm like, HRH, the crown gave it, the crown can take it away like that. I even found out that the king, King Charles or future King William, can actually take Prince because of the letters patent. See, George V
Oh.
in 1917, in the letters patent of 1917, George V had declared that a monarch is the one to define who is prince or princess. And then the rules were rewritten again in 1971 letters patent, which
Mhm.
basically said that only the eldest son of the eldest son of the Prince of Wales can be called prince. But then Queen Elizabeth II in 2012 rewrote those rules again to say all of Prince William's children can be called prince or princesses. So there are some legal scholars who say it's very simple. Letters are patent, letters patent, gave it, letters patent can take it away instantly. What can't be taken away so far without an act of parliament are the peerages and the line of succession, because is Harry, that's the hardest one. You'd actually have to have every single parliament of the Commonwealth nations vote on, and they're never going to do that. But you can take away the HRH and the prince. You can send Meghan's Instagram bio into full-blown meltdown by lunch. And I think that's exactly what future King William is going to do. He's going to take Prince, he's going to take HRH, and it's going to be cool. Y'all are the Duke and Duchess of the dime store. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Also, the king,
Yes.
actually the monarch, because I'll send you the links for that. The monarch, the peerages, the royal peerages are not the same as the aristocracy peerages. For example, Princess Diana's father was an earl, right? Or for example, the Duke of Westminster. You know, the godfather to Prince George.
Mhm.
He is regulated by the Peerage Act. But this is why you don't have a royal duke sitting in the House of Lords,
Right.
because they're royal. For example, the king can say to Harry, instead of a hereditary dukedom, I'm going to make it a life peerage, which means that it dies with you and it
Right.
reverts back to the crown, which is what they did with the Duke of Windsor when the king abdicated. And not only that, they went further and said that any children, I'm going to send you that link because that was sent to me by Buckingham Palace. It has all of the letters, Pat, and it tells you exactly everything. Um, and they took them. They said that that Wallace Simpson could never be HRH. If they had any children, their children could not be HRH and could not inherit any titles. And when he died, the Duke of Windsor reverted back to the house. Right now, Charles, what he did, because when Prince Edward got married to Sophie, he didn't get a dukedom because he was told that when Prince Philip died, the Duke of Edinburgh would go to him. And it
Mhm.
was supposed to be hereditary, but Charles didn't want to give it to him. And it was because of peer pressure that he did. But he made it a life peerage, which
Correct.
means that when Prince Edward
Hey,
dies, it
that's it.
reverts
Go
back to the
back.
crown.
Right.
That's why I say the king, you need a king with a spine. God
Yeah.
bless
Yeah.
him. He's battling cancer. He doesn't want to do it with his son. I don't like it. But a king's first job, not that I'm one to lecture king, but historically, when you look at it, I need a leader. Their first job, that's one of the toughest roles. That's why when they say divine birthright,
Mhm.
it isn't a blessing in many ways because you put your country first before
Yeah.
your family.
Yeah.
The king needs to have a spine. We're talking now. He needs to have a spine and say, okay, my country, my people come first.
Yeah.
The damage, I would love to see the economic damage that these interviews collectively have done.
Yeah.
Think about it. How
Yeah.
much has it done when you have a prince of the realm say it is unsafe for me? Really? How is it
Mhm.
unsafe? Because
And
we
he
already
was
have enough. Because we already have enough news coming out of the UK with everything else that's going on that we don't want to talk about here, so you don't have any problems with the YouTube channel. But when you have
Mhm.
a prince of the realm continually say that, bash the crown, the government, left, right, and center, it's not a good look. So to me, they should strip him now, take the HRH, let him be a duke. Wait till an
Yeah.
act of parliament comes through from there and remove it. Because look what happened. Do you know that it was reported that the deputy president of Ukraine sent a thank you note to Meghan, but addressed it Her Royal Highness. So she must have sent something when Harry went there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, but they have been allowing this. This is a petition. This is a UK parliamentary petition because people were enraged. This was since 2020. And this is what Parliament, this is petitions to Parliament answered. They said that we can't publish petitions about honors and appointments, including asking for people to be given or have titles removed. In any case, the use of royal titles are a matter for Her Majesty the Queen and not the government or Parliament. So they have answered. They can't, the monarch can't take any royal title because royal titles are honorary. Um,
Hmm.
and it's what
The
they
sole province of the monarch.
yeah, yeah. So, for example, what the monarch can do, which is what the queen did, because you see, bills start in parliament two ways. MPs propose it, or the queen or the monarch requests something, right? In this case, Queen Elizabeth in 2012, she wanted to amend the Succession Act officially because before it was gender over primogeniture, right? And Catholics were not allowed in the line of succession. So she requested, look how quickly it went. She requested it in December, right before Parliament broke to Christmas. By March, before Princess Charlotte was born, it had been approved. It had been approved. She
Hmm.
requested it, and therefore Charlotte made history, and she was the first little princess that was born there. Like
Hmm.
that after Louis, for example, if that hadn't been changed when Louis was born, then she would have moved down the pecking order kind of thing. But I
Right.
but I thought since we have a few people here, I just want to show the monologues from that we're talking about because I really we do have to go watch this, guys. So we're
Yeah.
gonna listen to George's monologue here because it's
So every broken toy in the world could feel normal by breaking the world. That's when the oppression industry celebrated its grand opening. They hung up new signs. Victims wanted, now hiring. Hate became the new economy, victimhood the new currency, resentment a new trust fund, and everyone was drafted into the war. That's when they turned around and told us that smoking was still bad for you, but weed was a superfood, fat was healthy, and 3 Big Macs a day kept the doctor away because big wasn't bad, it was just the beginning. Lizzo would become your new role model because nothing says empowerment quite like diabetes in a thong. That's when mothers to be would be known as pregnant people because woman had become a slur when tampons were marketed for men because misgendering a prostate was a mortal sin. When PETA sued SeaWorld for practicing dolphin slavery, but everyone in Seattle called a 6-month belly bump a clump of cells. That's when it all happened. When Victoria's Secret sadly swapped out their sexy angels for my next door neighbor and Playboy, the magazine I grew up with, sneaking peeks at behind my mother's back, now featured on its cover my girlfriend's dad in fishnets, proving once and for all the world had officially gone mad. That's when discrimination was rebranded as social justice because the woke kept shouting that racism is worse than ever. So hiring quotas became healing. Hyphens made some Americans feel more American than the other half. Critical race theory made its educational debut as Revenge with the Syllabus, and the 1619 Project didn't just rewrite history, it blamed traffic jams on slavery. That's when Gandhi's nonviolent approach took a backseat. It got axed. It wasn't gangster enough for the revolution. And science was branded as colonial violence. Because didn't you know the scientific method is now officially a hate crime? That's when cultural appropriation became the latest fad. So if you wanted to wear dreadlocks, nope. Only if you're Bob Marley's cousin. Wanted to practice yoga, strictly for Indians. Downward facing dog was a federal offense for anyone not sporting a bindi. And if you wanted to open up a sushi restaurant, you best hope your grandmother was from Tokyo. Otherwise, you're shit out of luck. That's when woke decided to define DEI for Main Street. Meritocracy was instantly canceled as an oppressive tool of the white guy. Diversity meant hiring by color, not competence or character. Hell, Disney's board defined diversity as a skill. Inclusion meant excluding anyone with a different opinion. Equity meant punishing success so failures could fail upwards. Equality meant we're all equally miserable. Tolerance was the new definition for tyranny. As for hate crimes, now it meant punishing some hate, but not all hate, because approved haters were allowed to freely hate 24 hours a day and make global headlines. That's
That
That's
so true. Wow. How long did it? Wait a minute. She was telling me it took you 3 years.
3 years. Yeah,
Wow.
it's
you have to watch
Wow.
you guys. I mean, like I was like, oh my god, it's amazing, it's amazing, and I we're gonna put the link for that for you guys to go watch it because it's unbelievable, stars. I mean, but it's really what's happening. It's like people don't lie anymore. It's your truth.
oh,
It's
I know.
rebranded, and I hate that.
I've been
Hmm.
working funny enough. There isn't actually a line about Harry and Meghan there. I think it's the, but
They're
I've been working on a new monologue. It's about the media, and it opens up. Well, I kind of give you a sneak peek. It opens up. Where is that? I gotta tell you. 1 second. I had it the other day. Here it is. It goes. Is truth time. Not my truth, your truth, a soy sister's personal truth, not a drag queen nun's neuter truth, not a politician's rented truth, not the left's radical truth, certainly not the media's fake truth, and not some California lie that identifies the truth. Just the
Mm,
truth.
just the truth.
And
Wow.
that's the
Yeah.
problem. So everybody has their, that's the Meghan way, right? Personal
Yeah.
truth. You
and
heard
not
Harry
only
say it
Meghan.
in the interview.
Yep. Yep. He did, didn't
My
he?
truth. I got my truth out in case
Yeah.
something happens.
I mean, this man doesn't know real struggle. He doesn't know real problems. It's I think there's a climax that's going to continue until it just goes off because Harry doesn't really see, I don't think, what this is leading to for him. How can you think this is going to be good for you to continue to play the victim, to try to make it seem like life is okay when you know it's not okay? It just feels like at some point, I believe Megan is going to disregard Harry when I think maybe when William becomes king. I don't know. I just feel like something is going to come for Harry and it's not going to be good. I
No,
just
not
feel
at all.
that.
I think it's even not only worse for, I think it's worse for the children. Think about it. Whatever they are, theirs, not theirs, they have kids there, right?
Mhm.
They know, and the only way they're ever going to meet the British royal family is if they pay 20 quid and take the tour at Buckingham.
Yeah.
Maybe,
But think
maybe.
of how that makes them feel, though. Somebody
Mhm.
to tell them if they haven't told them, because I think one of the, now this is my opinion. That there's no fact to this. This is just my own speculation based on their actions.
Mhm.
But there is a psychological pattern that divorced parents used to do called parent alienation.
Yep.
Have one parent alienate the child from the other. Oh, your mom's bad, your dad's bad. They would do that back and forth, right?
Mhm.
I can, and this
Mhm.
is me speculating because I hate to do that, but I can see something like that happening
Yeah.
in that family where they're like, oh, your granddad's bad, your uncle, oh, horrible. Because kids ask questions.
Mhm.
We
Mhm.
don't see granddad. How come we don't see the other granddad? How come we don't see our uncle? So I
Yeah.
would suspect in order to overcome those questions, either they have to lie their butts off one way, which is like, oh, we'll get there, we're busy, or they have to practice parent alienation just with their relatives.
Yep. Mhm. That's what they're doing.
Damage is horrible.
It's yeah. It's not going to be great. It's not going to be a good thing, and I just think that man, the time, like every day that goes by, like as these children grow up, there you can't get that back. There's so much that you are missing out on, and just to see them at this Beyonce concert, and you just look at, like I always like to say, like the dead bodies. You just look at all the bad things that they've done. It's like you really don't have anything to try to smile about or pretend that life is good, because we all know. for you right now in this moment, what's happening, especially with these children and your reputation in Hollywood, like it's not good. It's not going well for you. And the sooner they wake up to the reality of their circumstances and try to do better by that, they're just making it worse and worse every single day. That's how I
Except
see
she,
it.
except she showed a picture of the cowboy hat.
Yeah, she did.
Archie and Liv.
Yeah,
Come on.
Archie and Lily.
It's like, come on.
Oh,
Like, you
yeah,
won't be with your kids, but you got their names
right. Give
pitched
me
in
It's
it.
a
merging.
break.
It's always merging, isn't it? Hello, Manuela. Manuela, meet
Hi,
George.
everyone.
Hello.
Sorry,
Hello.
guys.
Hi.
Hi, everyone.
Manuela's
Hello.
comedian.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
Uh,
you too.
and the thing
Big
is
fan
that,
of the rents.
book monologue, we're talking about people that are, it's like narcissism is celebrated, lies are applauded. Um, and it's frustrating. I see that now to a lesser degree. But for example, I saw this with Justin Baldoni, like he was accused that they had this New York or whatever, I can't remember which newspaper put out that thing. The very next day, an award he had earned was taken away. And then he was dropped from the agency. He was mocked by the by Ari Emanuel. The entire press absolutely branded him horribly.
Hmm.
Um, and you would think now that with everything that's out there, that the people who took the award from Justin Baldoni would apologize and say,
Yeah.
we're sorry we acted too quickly, or WME. But instead, you see them all band together. And it's like, we're going to double down in the lie because they weren't counting on him having a billionaire behind him.
Nope.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I think
Yeah.
that's what really ruined their day. That the guy is a billionaire. His backer is a billionaire who who probably, if he throws a $300 million bet, basically he bankrupts Ryan Reynolds. So,
Mhm.
but it's this thing. It's not just Harry and Meghan. Harry and Meghan are just additional to everything that we're seeing. I mean, that's just my opinion. I mean, I'm seeing it now that rather than be embarrassed and apologize, they get angry and double
Of
down.
course. Of course they do, because that's why I say they represent the pinnacle of the cultural rot. That's what they
Yeah.
represent, because
Mhm.
they have supporters. They should have no supporters based on their own actions.
Right.
Based on their own actions.
Exactly.
To support them is to transparently show that you lack fundamental morals, beliefs, traditions, common
Mhm.
sense. You like liars. That's why,
Yeah.
even in the Baldoni case, why did they band together? Because that's the new way. We're not going to admit that we did something wrong that makes them look weak. So we're going to double down till we can destroy somebody. That is
Mhm.
why YouTube, social media are replacing the media. That's why the media is dying, because people today want this right here: honesty, authenticity. That is the true currency of society today. They're living,
Mhm.
Meghan and Harry are living in the 90s, early 2000s. They do not understand. It's the way she's been doing her campaign on Instagram, right?
Mhm.
She's
Mhm.
showing her hand. Look at who we are. She's running a campaign based like 2005, 2008, maybe 2012. It doesn't exist. People, why did With Love Megan flop? With Love Megan flop because she didn't show who she was. People want to
Yeah.
see you, the
Yeah.
authentic you.
That's a
They don't
perfect
want to see
example. Yeah.
whole, lifestyles of the rich and famous 1985 edition with, oh, look at me put pretzels in the.
Yeah.
They want to be like, what are you doing? Like, how are you
Mm.
doing it? What's going on?
Mhm. That is so true. So true. Paula, I'm sorry. Do you want to introduce the new
Yes,
ones here? Yeah.
Jennifer, she's been with me before. She is
Hi,
Hi.
Hello. Hello.
how's
So
everybody?
she's a
How are you?
YouTuber. She's amazing. And she speaks, she talks about beauty. She does also, you're into makeup and stuff like that, but you also talk about Meghan Markle and social culture,
Mhm.
not just Meghan Markle, but about everything that's going on. But she's a makeup artist. You study makeup artistry too.
Yeah.
But I just thought it'd be very interesting because now that we have George here, I wanted to give him as much exposure to all of our channels, because I love the woke monologue, guys, because it is very brave to say what you say, what you say there. Um,
Mhm.
Given, even now, even now, it's still not completely dead. People are still being called out for speaking
Mhm.
out and basically saying, what is the difference? I was reading that it was like a big deal that the Supreme Court of the United Kingdom rule what a woman is.
Mhm.
Mhm.
2025, with all science, we still needed the Supreme Court to say, okay, a woman born with a womb is a
Mhm.
woman.
Could you
Mhm.
imagine having that? The very fact that we had to have that debate is mind boggling. That you have to have a president stated, you have to have a Supreme Court stated. These are facts.
Yeah.
This is one of the reasons why I wrote the woke monologues. Again, that's why, again, I tie it all right back to Harry and Meghan.
Mhm.
They, and I know I've said it, I'll say it one more time. They should have no supporters. Any supporters they have today shows their transparent lack of common sense, character, decency, dignity, honor, tradition, morals, anything, because of their own actions, not what they say, what they do.
They
Mhm.
actually do. It's almost like people don't want to have self accountability. They want to just support someone just to support them. They don't want to make people be accountable for what they actually do. And it's like Harry is just being the victim because he doesn't want to take any
Mhm.
accountability for anything that he has actually done to his family.
Of
I
course
don't
not.
understand what is happening with our culture with people that you support someone that doesn't want to take responsibility. You have to make people accountable for their actions. It's the denigration of our society, I think, when you just support somebody because I mean you want him to have his truth. I don't get it. It's just
It's true.
crazy.
Well, it is, but think
Yeah.
it's the
Mhm.
same way with the parents who go, "Oh, my 1 year old let me know mentally that he's the opposite sex of what he's like." Wait a minute.
Yeah.
If that parent one day admits the truth that they'd help wreck that child, if Harry admits the truth that he
Mhm.
is responsible
Yeah.
for a weak human being, that's a crushing blow.
Right.
It
Yeah.
takes it takes a
Mhm.
certain strength of character to go, you know what? I'm human. I screwed up,
Yeah.
made the wrong choices. Here's what I
Mhm.
did wrong. But that takes character.
It does. And that's, I
Yeah.
guess, why you don't hear them say it.
Uh,
I mean, I guess Megan said some things like she made mistakes when she did her little podcast or whatever, but she's just a little in passing. She says things as a clap back to people, but I mean, you just don't
the
feel
trench
that she's
warfare.
really sorry.
Oh,
Trench.
excuse me.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt. The trench warfare line is what got me. To me, that
Uh
was the
huh.
worst thing I ever heard. It's like, think about her mindset right there.
Trench.
The war when she was like the first 6 months dating Harry, how she changed the story. Remember her interview 6 years ago with Harry when she was latching onto him, the hand in the claw. She's like, "Oh, the 6 months of privacy we had has been like amazing, a paradise." Then in the Jamie Lima interview, which I call meganosis now, you have you basically have her saying, "Yeah, the first 6 months dating the British royal family, it's like being in the trenches." And I'm like, "Wait a minute."
Right.
During VE week, you or Harry not only tipped your hat, made a comment, but you're saying that your life, jumping around from castles to cottages in haute couture, was equivalent to men bloodied and dying in the muddy trenches of World War I. And she's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
"Yeah."
Yeah.
That's just
And I've been through
It's
despicable.
2 wars.
awful.
I've been through 2 civil wars myself. I can tell you
Mhm.
that I wish I had those trenches, rather than bunch of
Hmm.
dead flies all over the floor because of the blood, that it smells like iron and you have flies everywhere. What do you guys
Yeah.
make of this picture? Do you guys know where he was? Do you
Mm-mm.
know which part of London he was?
What wasn't he in Chelsea? They said, Paula.
No, 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 no. Oh, we wish. He was in Fulham, which is one of Fulham in London. You do have certain nice areas, but it's actually quite a rough neighborhood. And he
Mhm.
walked almost half a mile up and down with his phone, alone without bodyguards, while he was
Mhm.
fighting in a trial with
Yeah.
somebody. How can he not
Mhm.
know? Can he not read? I mean, you now you Google Map or your friend's house number is so and so, or
Mhm.
come and meet me out there. So part of me feels that this is staged for some reason.
Yeah,
So,
but
Well,
who
if
staged it?
yeah,
I
yeah,
was going to
like,
say, if this doesn't prove that this man continuously talks out of both sides of his mouth, I don't know what does. So he can sit there and he could tell us all that basically the establishment, his family wants him dead and he's so in danger. But then look at this picture. I mean, make this make sense to anybody.
yeah. What is
Fulham,
happening here?
Fulham, Fulham. I mean, he was in
Yeah.
Fulham, which is you have like a couple of streets that are nice, but even in Fulham, you would not be walking with your phone and like that. And he went to the
Right.
end of the street. He knocked on 3 doors before that, and he had no bodyguards.
Mm-hmm.
What about going to Ukraine,
Wow.
Yeah.
Nigeria?
Hmm.
Colombia.
Again, at least
Yeah.
in Colombia, you could say they made the government give them all the security, but in Ukraine, it's a war zone,
Yeah.
a literal war zone. Like
Yeah.
city, not
Mm-hmm.
city, you can get hit. That's why all of this comes up. I think this was not only all about IPP status. I think that's where he gave it away in part of the interview where he stated, "Then my family sent signals around the world not to protect us."
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
before that, he said,
Mm-hmm.
because the interviewer I thought was complete crap, because no
Mm.
reporter has ever grilled them. If one reporter actually held their feet to the fire, these interviews would stop because they don't have the courage to stand up. She
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
tried, well, you no longer are working well, and she allowed him to go on and spin it. That would have been, look, it's really simple. You went to Nigeria, you went to Ukraine. End of discussion. You've gone to the Bahamas, you've gone everywhere. He said,
Mexico.
Mexico. And then he
Hmm.
turned around and said,
Not
what? Well, I
Mexico.
can't have bodyguards because, because she said, well, you have your bodyguards now. What's the difference? He goes, well, you know what I mean. Most people can figure it out. He's talking about armed protection.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
But when you combine that with the fact that he said, my family sent a signal to the world not to protect us, that's IPP. He wants to have his security paid for by every country. So anywhere he goes, not only
Mm-hmm.
does he not have to flip pay the tab, but he also gets access to the IPP status intelligence.
Hmm.
These
I
people are
know.
not
Absolutely.
trustworthy. They're not
No.
He's
trustworthy.
a blabbermouth. And you know what I heard? I heard that I'll tell you about it later, Pat. But I heard
Hmm.
that Harry, the reason why the BBC thing he said, and he didn't want to tell very much, is because he's writing a book about his ordeal of the trial. And that's
Mm-hmm.
why he was withholding information because he learned his lesson when they first arrived to the United States. You know, when they were blabbing, for example, Netflix was really angry with
That's
them
it. Yeah.
when they went on Oprah and basically spilled the beans. And then they
Mm-hmm.
did the Netflix thing. So it's pretty much, like it didn't really. I just want to listen a little bit more, guys, if you indulge me to the monologues, because I think this is really cool. Just 1 second. I'm going to mute myself.
A country that beat the British Empire, stomped the Nazis, crushed the commies, landed a man on the moon before we ever questioned what a woman was, created the internet, gave the world rock, rap, hip hop, and jazz, gave women the right to vote, legalized gay marriage, and believe and live and let live. That is how that country was hijacked by people who cry in HR meetings. And have you ever questioned any of it? Congratulations, you're a bigot. A life sentence with no appeal and no parole. Unfortunately, that was the most dangerous time that came next. When woke wanted to stress test the system by throwing fuel on a fire that wasn't burning, they wanted to see how much people would actually take. So they started by telling the world that rights were peaceful, that cities in flames were just barbecues in the summer of love, that lootings were reparations, that criminals were the real victims, that stealing was even legal in some states. Just keep it under $950 a pop. It didn't matter if it meant millions lost, if stores moved away, if jobs disappeared, if neighborhoods vanished and turned into ghost towns. That was their vision for the world. Welcome to Woketopia, a place where the police are defunded and banned, where 10 cities stretch for miles and junkies drop deuces between hipster coffee shops selling $25 kale smoothies, all while pickleball influencers live stream tournaments of them playing with their lonely balls. That was the vision they had for the world. And then they turned around and told me that my speech was violence, that free speech was hate speech, but hate speech from the historically hated was the greatest speech of all. That sticks and stones may break my bones, but free speech kills everyone not approved to speak by the speech police.
That is so good. I homeschool,
Really
you
good.
guys, and I have two 12-year-olds who know about World War I, know about World War II. And we were just talking about last year about Winston Churchill famously saying, never in the history of human conflict was so much owed to so many by, so much owed to so many, to so few.
Yeah.
And it's like George was saying before I came on, I was listening, victimhood is the ultimate currency. And that's exactly the type of currency that Meghan and her husband specialize in. And think about it. If he drops this victimhood narrative at this point in the game, what does he have really? He doesn't really have anything. The only thing that made them a hot commodity was the fact that they could trash their families ad nauseum, which they did for 6 hours on Netflix, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's so disgusting. And Paula, you said that right before you showed that clip. I was just thinking about this when I was going on, and I was thinking, we need to really watch this man, Harry, because I really think that that's going to be his new thing, whether it's going to be a book, whether it's going to be a documentary. He's going to partner with somebody. It might not be Netflix, it might be the BBC. That's going to be the whole thing. He is going to attach himself more and more in just a really disgusting manner to this whole my mother was hunted and killed narrative.
Yes.
And before it was they want my wife dead because she's a half black woman. That's why we have to escape. So before it was her. Now he's marrying that together and he's including himself now. So now he's raised the stakes and it's gotten even more diabolical in his mind and more horrible and rotten. They want us both killed.
Yes.
I mean, he didn't say in so many words, but that man, we all know what he meant, what he was alluding to,
Right. And this is the thing, I think, because he did do the BBC interview and we saw that right after he knew he lost his security, it was a clapback that I'm not happy that I didn't get what I want. And now I'm going to do this interview and I'm going to be very boisterous about talking more in the future. And I believe what you just said would be the motive for him to continue speaking out and having this narrative and giving himself a reason why he needs to keep speaking out, because it's a clapback to not getting what he wants. He is a child who is throwing a tantrum, and he's wanting the whole world to hear it. Right.
And it's all these grievances and all these slights all down the line here. And when Paula and y'all were talking earlier about those letters patent, when the Queen did that in 2012, even though Harry wasn't married at the time, and even though we didn't have children at the time in 2012, I really do think that was the first thing that kind of set in motion, like, William's children are the chosen and mine will not be. You know what I mean? It was almost like a cascade.
That's what Meghan was complaining about in Oprah. She's just so stupid. She couldn't voice it. She called it the George the Sixth Convention. Is actually the letters patent, because she was angry that the Queen had made an exception with the 2012 letters patent, that she said that even though the 1917 said that only the first son of the firstborn of the son of Wales, the Prince of Wales, could hold the title. So you actually, if she had followed the 1917, we would be calling Charlotte Lady Charlotte and Lord Louis rather than that. So Meghan wanted the Queen to have said, if she made an exception for them, why can't she? Because you're a skank. That's why. And she knew. The Queen, our Queen was not stupid. I mean, she could smell a skank a mile away. The Queen knew.
I always agree with Padina when she says that. You always say, and it's true, she counts on the average American not knowing or caring enough to find out these simple things that people like us know, because we follow this nonsense all the time,
But that's why they've also stayed out of politics. You notice this time around under this administration, they've, except for Harry a couple of times, they've kept their mouth shut, because in a second they can be known to all of America if they make a crack in the wrong way. So I think they're trying to play their cards safe, but they really aren't. Again, it's Meghan wears so many masks, and now Harry has unmasked himself completely to everyone. I don't think there's, what was her one question? The interviewer, the reporter, I don't even call her a reporter. The interviewer said, "Are you let down by your country? Are you hurt by your country?" And I'm like, have you seen the polls? Nobody likes you. You're like one of the lowest ranked people in popularity, from celebrities to royalty. And
Right.
he actually said he was hurt by his country. So what Padina just said, a temper tantrum, that's exactly right. You got a frog, formerly known as Prince, who turned into a toad to attack a father with cancer. Look, my father, as Paula knows, and I think Padina knows, he had kidnapped me. And I didn't, and after I was rescued when I was 8 years old, we're talking years past. When I heard that he was dying, I called him up as an adult 30 years later. No, I hope you're okay. Go in peace. I forgive you. Because human beings. This is a guy who tortured me every day.
And don't forget his sister-in-law in remission from cancer.
Perfectly well said. Exactly. But they don't care about that. That's why I believe karma, a lot of people, karma may come late to the party, but she is always the last one to turn off the lights. So I think it's going to come with future King William.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, I was reading, because I don't know if you guys know this, but a couple of books are coming out which are absolutely devastating for the monarchy. In spite of the best efforts, Charles is not very popular, especially given his weakness towards Harry. You know, I remember, Pat, do you remember? I don't know if you did it, George. I did, but I remember they removed Harry and Meghan from the website for like about half an hour.
I know I was like,
I
finally.
went live, and I was like, I was celebrating, and not only me, like a bunch of us did it. Like he didn't get any backlash, and then they put it back later.
That's because they complained, it was Harry. Whoa, what are you doing there?
That's the thing, because this is the difference between Charles and the Queen. He wants to be popular, and the Queen much rather do what was right than what was popular. Because if you do what's right, in spite of being unpopular, eventually it'll become popular.
Right. If you do what's good, if you said it perfectly, if you do what's good, if you try to please everyone, you end up pissing everybody off. But if you do what's right, eventually people will see, then go, okay, this person is character, that they have honor, they have dignity, they know who they are.
I think more and more mainstream people, especially in the US, have to start speaking out about this fool, because if the average American knew that this man, all he has to do is call them up and say, I'm coming. These are the dates. He will be provided security, and it will be determined on a case by case basis. But he's not offering up that information, is he? He's making it seem like he's hung out to dry, and they all just don't care about him or the safety of his wife and children. And it's like nothing could be further from the truth. And to me, I think it's something as simple and petty as the fact that he wants 24/7 the way his brother and Catherine do. That's what he wants. And I also think he doesn't want to have to be put in the imposition to phone ahead and say when he's coming. He just wants to come and go at will. Whatever he wants to. It's like, I'm sorry, what world are you living in?
Yeah, now this is the thing that I thought about. This is what this is what I thought about. And I thought, what if Meghan is giving Harry this ultimatum? Because I believe Harry does want to go back. But what if she's saying, well, I'll go back, but I want what William and Catherine have. I want if I come back, I want the $1 million. Like I want it to be the creme de la creme. And that's the only way I'll agree to come back with you. And so Harry's now in this quest to please his wife and fighting to get this very high level security, because he thinks that, well, my wife will come back if I get this for her. And Meghan knows he won't get it. So she's playing into the fact that she'll go back on the, with him thinking, if he can do this, then I'll do it, knowing she really doesn't want to go. And Harry's fighting to get something that he knows that, he'll never really get, but he thinks Meghan will go and be with him in the UK with this very, good security or whatever.
Yeah. But don't forget though, these woke bullies, they're the biggest cowards. I personally don't believe that she would ever set foot, because she knows how much she's despised.
She knows he won't get the security as well. It's like she's playing it. She's gaslighting him, making him think that, and Harry's the fool fighting for something that he knows he'll never get, thinking that Meghan will come with him. giving
Yep.
him this little glimmer of hope. Maybe, we can go back to the UK, but it will never happen. I think Meghan is that devious, that cunning to make Harry think that she'll do it, knowing she won't do it, and knowing that he won't get that security. It's like the mind games. Harry thinking that, my love, I know you would come back with me in a heartbeat to the UK. I know you will. Harry is just so misguided. This is a man that does not see the kind of woman that he has married for who she really is. I mean, I know this kind of girl. She is playing this man, and he is falling for it. And
can you
at
imagine
some point he'll wake up, but not yet.
And can you imagine being Harry, really? You're alone in Montecito with this woman. That's his only quote unquote advocate, right? But we all know what she's about. She's about herself first and foremost.
Yeah.
So he's probably over there smoking everything but his shoes, because we all know what kind of lifestyle this man's into. You know what I mean?
He looked high in the picture she posted. He looked high, right, guys? In the picture she posted on the Beyonce.
Paula, he looked high ringing all those dang doorbells. I was like, this man is off.
This man, I'm telling you, that's the only way he can survive, is to have some of his brain cells missing, because
he's like wandering around looking for the nearest Nando's, like, oh, he's off this rocker.
Yeah,
absolutely. He is. Well, you saw how many times he sniffed in that interview. I don't know if anybody else saw.
Yes.
Now he could have a cold, but it was awkward. It was just very, and the I'm like, were you?
And licking his mouth too. He licked his mouth. I know that one time.
It's trite, but I'll set the trite stuff aside. It's still everything he said. I really expected more than a statement from the palace of, the courts have decided on this. I thought it would be something different. After nothing was done after this, that's when I keep saying that it's going to be King William. If King Charles hasn't acted by now.
If we manage to get there, George, to tell you the truth. I had an interview yesterday with Winning Communication. He's a YouTuber. And he said some things that were incredibly interesting. He said that interview in BBC, first, he didn't get any fear from Harry. That was not a man in fear of his life, number one. Now we've seen it because when the picture that emerged, him going without bodyguards, number one. But he said that what he was doing during the entire interview was manipulative and negotiating, stating his terms for comeback, because he said, I can only come to the UK if I'm invited. I can only come. That's the only sticking point, is the security. And my status. I'm never going to lose my status. Buddy, you lost it the moment George was born. Not you, George.
Yeah. But see, the difference is that's why all of a sudden you have, though, in multiple papers, Tom Sykes is pushing it, other courtiers are pushing it, and that's why they've pushed back. You heard Prince William's response, because I'm sure he wanted to say something and the Crown didn't allow it. But that's why you heard that he will take their HRH day one. And soon, right after that, he's going to take his prince title. He's going to be left with nothing but his peerages and the line of succession, which will mean nothing. Because I looked into that, that's the one impossibility. You cannot remove him because he's constitutionally protected in the line of succession. You can knock him down by putting another 50 people in front of him.
No, but you can do that. But what you could do is amend the line of succession, and the monarch can request that only children born in the United Kingdom and residing in the United Kingdom can be included in the line of succession. Because the Queen, when she requested that they change from gender to primogeniture, everything got altered. And also by including Catholics, which meant that the children of the Prince of Kent were now included in the line of succession. So an amendment to the Succession Act, and if the monarch requests that, which that Sweden has that. In Sweden.
Right, but he's not going to. King Charles
live in Sweden.
Yeah, King Charles will never do that. That's going to all have to fall on William. It's going to. There's no way. He hasn't acted.
That sucks. Look what Queen Margrethe of Denmark did. She cleaned house. She took away the titles of her second son's kids. It's like, I'm sorry. Throw your worldwide tantrum. They're still not going to be, they're earning a living. They don't even live here. They're in France. And everything. I just want to watch another part of the clip of the monologue, guys, because this is just awesome.
Thank you. Martina Navratilova showcased a grand slam with her explosive online backhand. And suddenly, Elon Musk popped back up on the scene. He bought Twitter, canceled censorship, caught a heavy rocket ship with chopsticks, and told Disney to go fuck itself. But the entire time, there was one man always standing by our side. He stood between us and them. And his name was Trump. And he put the fear of God in everyone. Never forget universal rules for life. Rule number 2, extreme control is always a reaction to extreme fear. And the woke were so afraid that they doubled down and wrote a new commandment in their kale chips. And just like everyone, just like we had the burning bush and Moses with the 10 commandments, the woke had their edition, Harry. So from every hairy armpitted girl, there came the unholy word. Patriotism was a plague. America was evil. Freedom was old-fashioned. The Second Amendment meant that guns were for government and criminals only, and sometimes those were the same things. Drugs were illegal, but you could get free needles and a pipe from your local mayor. Teachers said that they could raise kids better than their parents could. Public education guaranteed, they said, the golden path to life. Of course, public education always needs more money and meat for the gladiator ring. School choice was declared as the devil's work. Even though these people never believed in the beast, they still worshiped Alinsky's Lucifer. And that's when they came out of the closet and they told us that natural aging with its gray hair was sick. But Botoxing your vaginal box and bleaching your bum was the absolute bomb. That's when the cult of woke became impatient and launched their war on 5 fronts.
That's funny.
Good.
That's good. Yeah.
I mean, it takes a lot of
It's all
balls
the
to put that
spots.
George, the ballsy giant slayer. I must say, guys, you gotta go watch that because, I mean, and and this is what you see, and that's why I follow George, and that's why we all love you.
Thank
You
you.
know, it is amazing because we have people, and I was saying this that I'm always surprised. For example, when people like Amber Heard, let me give you an example. When she lost against Johnny
Depp.
Depp, right? They still gave her immediately an interview, and she was still having access to the platform in spite of the fact that, I mean, this woman is a bad actress. I gotta tell you, people kept saying she's a good actress. Nah, you couldn't convince me on the stage on the stand. Sorry, you were not able to convince me on the stand, and that your life was depending on it. And like looking at the things, and it's like, but people still
Hmm.
gave her a platform. You know that the women's movement held a rally, and they even had Angelina Jolie go with her.
Oh wow.
And she just endorsed Blake Lively, by the way, which is not a good thing. And now Blake Lively is buddies with Meghan Markle because they were both at the 100 gala.
Bad, big mistake. Big mistake. See, they don't realize what's going on. That's why. That shows you they one,
Yeah.
paying attention to the stories, the facts.
Mhm.
And 2, they have somebody who's a bad publicist and PR for them. Not telling them like, yeah, you don't want to connect yourself with her. Someone like Beyonce, because taking pictures with him, doing all that, having him at her concert. She's so much bigger than them that the flack rolls off. She's like, if anybody ever questions her, she's like, yeah, it's friends of mine. Yeah, okay, next.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
Blake, with everything she's going through, big
Right.
mistake. The thing
Yeah.
is, what is Harry going to do next? Again,
That
it's
book. He's
a
writing a
book.
book about his experience, about his, and apparently it's going to be called The Quest. Or they're floating 3 titles, but I think one of them is The Quest for Security and Love. And there's
Mm.
another one that's called The Fight to Return Home Safely, something like
Yeah.
that.
Because
You know,
he has a 3-book deal with
He
Penguin.
does. He
Yeah.
does.
So he has to do something. So we know he's going to
Mhm.
be putting out a book. That's interesting though. Yeah,
I
those
mean, he
titles.
he was threatening that book before, but I think now he really thinks all bets are off. He's entitled to write it now because he's the perpetual
Yep.
victim,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Plus,
what
she's
And
going
I
to write a
Absolutely.
book. I think she
Oh,
hinted
she's
to
for
that.
sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
oh
But
for
Yeah, but
sure.
she
Mhm.
wants to write a book when she divorces Harry. Now,
Yep.
talking about body language, and we're talking about the body language people. Remember that we were talking about this. There's this guy that's in the behavior panel, and he did this just this very short clip, guys. It's very very interesting because I thought that here he's in the in the body language. Remember, he's one of the body language guys, but he has his own
Yeah.
channel,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So he's talking a little bit about Meghan Markle when she's asked about whether she's gonna be married to Harry forever, right? Listen to what he says. Listen.
About the interviews, and I've never seen her do that before. But I think she knows exactly what's when that started. Also, we see eye blocking when she says we're having our 7th wedding anniversary soon.
I mean, it'll be our 7-year wedding anniversary soon.
So, an eye blocking suggests that's information you don't want to hear or you don't want to give. There's
Mhm.
there's an issue in here somewhere.
Your trust is such a sacred thing. Anybody's trust is a sacred thing. So why did you say yes to doing this show? Because it's you. And to
Oh
me,
yeah, and I got a bridge to sell you
trust you.
because my career's over.
But because
Yep.
Mhm.
This is interesting because when she says, "Of course I trust you," it sounds like she's asking a question. She's got that up talk going on.
of course I trust you.
When you're asking like that, that's always a little bit questionable if you don't talk like that all the time. Now, the Jamie Kern Lima, she does up talk all the time. Almost everything she says is up talk, but not Meghan. She could be mirroring her, matching her. You know, you do mirroring, matching and mirroring. When you like someone, you hang out with them, you start talking like them, you start acting like them, you may sit like them, and you may literally mirror their movements during your conversations. But we're also seeing that open-handed thing with a shoulder shrug. That's a little questionable as well. I'm sure she trusts her, but only to a point, because she comes on like she's known her forever. But as the interview goes on, she talks about how she doesn't know her that well, and they
Right.
haven't known each other that long.
It's like everybody else. If I can interject
Mhm.
here, it's like when you saw with Love Megan. What was the first thing she did with Nacho's wife? Which how tall you are.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm
Uh-huh.
like, and that's why in my interview, and that's not my interview, and that's why in my video I was like, outside of pap shots, they don't know each other, but you could tell there was 2 or 3 lines where she's like, "Oh, I didn't know you were like that." It's like, come on, everything is a setup. That's why these are paid for props.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask all of y'all. I don't know anything about makeup. A woman that don't. She said they didn't have makeup on. Is that no
That's
makeup?
not true. No, it's not. They had on makeup.
Jennifer can tell you. Jennifer is an expert on makeup. She's a makeup artist. Can
You're
you tell
very
us?
sweet, Paula. Well, you know, I'm actually working and editing my video right now where I go on at length. What is the purpose, right? Why say that you're not wearing makeup when you so clearly are, albeit very light makeup, tastefully done. I'm not bashing on anybody's appearance. They both looked fine. But what's the heart of this? What's the root of it? And it had to do with them portraying themselves as we are here, we are open, we have nothing to hide. We're just 2 girls in the rocking chairs, no makeup, no makeup. And they made a pointed effort at least 3 or 4 times of saying, we're not wearing any makeup. And it's just like, how shallow and superficial can you be? First of all, who cares whether you're wearing makeup or you're not wearing makeup? Are we all past that point? Wear it, don't wear it, who cares? Let's get into, hey, why are you so hated on both sides of the Atlantic, lady? You know, like
Right.
no one cares about that. And if you know even a little bit about Jamie Kern Lima, which I do, I actually used to do freelance makeup artistry for It Cosmetics, but this was in like 2019, 2020 after she sold the company. So I mean, don't get me wrong, I've never met her or anything like that, but she got famous for going on QVC and removing her makeup on camera to show her rosacea. And she's spoken about it at length as a newscaster in her newscaster days. I guess it would flare up so badly. And if anyone has rosacea, they know it's red, it's itchy, it just basically eats off makeup if you're wearing it. And I guess her producers would whisper in her ear, like, what's going on with your face? You're getting really red. What's wrong? So that was her whole shtick when she went on QVC. Now, I'm not denying the fact that she didn't have rosacea, but so I know a little bit about someone who has rosacea like her. She was wearing makeup. I personally think she was wearing light enough makeup, but just to kind of not cover here. So she looked like she had a nice flush. But again, it's like, what's the point? Who cares? You know?
Yeah. I think the point for them was what you were saying, before, is trying to show we've stripped off the facade. We stripped off all of this superficial stuff, and you're seeing the raw us. But even in that, it's the lie.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
I think
yeah,
there's even more. I think there's even more to that. I think it's part of saying I don't have makeup on, so I'm showing up as I am. I'm naked, so I'm vulnerable. Here we go.
yes.
But I
Yeah.
actually, the other part of me thinks because we believe this entire thing is scripted, she was supposed to cry, and you don't want to cry with mascara running all over your face as well. So that's the other thing, is so that she can do this whole wiping and not then look like a raccoon for the remainder, because I mean she's very vain for the remainder of the
Right.
interview, right? Because I think they wanted to pretend it's authentic but not really be authentic, because we do, you show up without makeup, that could be a good thing, because you can say, okay, here, this is how I am. But it's just too contrived, because you have basically someone who's made their money based on makeup and
Not
someone
wearing
else who's trying to always look good.
Yeah.
And then they have this opportunity to be real, and neither of them show up authentically.
I want to
exactly.
ask you something, George, because in the monologues you said that when Elon Musk bought Twitter, that I had been suspended from Twitter because I asked, and doesn't anybody find it weird that only Meghan is showing up with her mom, her black mom? And I mean, my account got suspended. I woke up very pleasantly one day to an email from from Twitter saying, log into your account. And I'm like, and I
Oh,
logged in, and I had back my account after Elon bought it. So you talk about it in the monologues, because that was a time when Elon was very much part of the left wing people. He was adored. He couldn't do anything wrong. Guys, I remember when Donald Trump used to go on The View, and Barbara Walters and Whoopi Goldberg, Oprah Winfrey. Are you going to run for president? I don't know if you guys
They
remember that.
adored him.
oh yeah.
Adored.
2000, 2005. They loved him.
They
2008.
adored him.
He
He
was a
was.
huge Democrat donor too. He
Oh
gave
yeah.
They loved.
millions to the Democrat Party.
But I think that the end of the woke started with Elon when he bought X.
I believe. I
So
believe it.
let's
Yeah.
just count you on that
It
one.
sped it up.
I just want to add one thing to what Manuela was saying. Is I agree with that completely, and to what Pidina was saying. She went in there to tell everybody. It's kind of like the old rules of Hollywood. You want to show, not tell. But she told everybody, we're here without makeup. This means we're going to be our raw selves. But everybody picked up the fact that it's phony. So again, authenticity is what sells today. People want real human beings. That's why CNN has lower ratings on Prime Time than some of my videos. You're like sitting here going, like, wait a minute, you're CNN.
Yeah.
It's not like my videos are doing millions. It's showing you that media is dying because of the fraud, because they're phony. And Meghan, that's why I go back to, she's playing that same game. It's what she trained in. It's what she knows. You remember there's that one 10-second clip of her from maybe 7 years ago, where I think she's in New York or Vancouver, where she's like, she's being interviewed for Suits, and she says, left eye tear now, 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Here.
She was at Soho House. She was given that
Soho.
interview from Soho House.
So when you have someone like that, a professional actress, who I don't think is very good, but she's going to be better than somebody else. The whole thing where she's like, oh, I'm going to kind of cry. I was like, really? When you start to cry, your nose starts running, your sinuses start running. I was like sitting there going, I know these are minor details, but I think the average person, when they see this, why all of her products, we'll call it, all her propaganda gets such low views and has such low ratings, is because people may not know specifically what is going on and why, but they're like, there's something wrong here. It's fake. It's phony. It's crap. It doesn't feel, it's like the difference. I watched one of Pamela Anderson's episodes because I wanted to compare them. I'm like, oh, she's just being herself.
No
She
comparison.
was.
Yeah.
Night and day. You're like, look at even Netflix. Netflix tries to fight itself because I think there's one or two people there who are part of her cult. But the rest of the company can't stand her, because you'll see these little statements, oh, we love her. But then Netflix restaurant, Netflix Bites at the MGM Grand Hotel, has all of their hit shows translated into recipes. They have a Bridgerton tea, they have a WWE smash burger. And they were asked, was there a With Love Meghan? No. Why? Well, it's like, no, it's not going to be
What did you
anywhere.
Spread. Jam
what
is
did you?
jam.
Yeah, jams or jam.
It turns to be a spread now.
What did you guys think about when she was how I felt she was trying to justify being an influencer and making money off of clicks and when
I
she
know.
endorses things. Do you remember in that I call it I am the lunatic that did a three-parter on that. I called it the infomercial because it wasn't a
Mhm.
podcast. It was an
It
infomercial.
was an
And
infomercial.
it
Hmm.
was. And then all those annoying ad breaks where Jamie's advertising the show we're already watching. I was like, Lord help me. But
Right.
do y'all remember how she was basically, and she used examples like, for example, if I endorse a company, then maybe, that's the day that the owner or the entrepreneur would have, wanted to just give up. But, I wear something or I endorse something and then that helps them hire more people. That helps them afloat. Or if I really, buy into the ethos of that company, I'm out and I'm using my voice and I'm promoting and I'm just like, she's basically trying to justify
Right.
being an influencer with a royal title. I mean, it's so disgusting.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to
I was
equate
Yeah.
like,
that, trying to
and
equate
you,
being an
yeah,
influencer to
yeah,
being like doing charity work or actually being
There you go.
something of service.
right.
And that's conflating. It's completely different. But didn't she say something too about she wears these jeans and basically saves mankind? There was
Saves
some
Yes.
lives. Yeah.
weird
Saves
statement. Yeah, saves lives by wearing jeans. I mean, seriously, I think you save more lives by.
She
Yeah.
doesn't get it. She still stands to gain monetarily, even if it's a small thing. Even if it's a
Absolutely.
small thing, she's still gaining monetarily. It's not like she's saying for everybody that buys a pair of those jeans, I'm donating 100%, or, she's not
Hmm.
saying that.
It's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
No,
odd.
no, they're not. No, she's not. And I wanted to ask you guys this because this is something that had been bothering me quite a lot. And it's like, I saw in The View how Whoopi Goldberg and that Sony girl, they were
Mm.
Funny Houston,
angry
yeah.
because how did they? I mean, like, I can't even do Whoopi Goldberg's accent. She used the royal title. I mean, these women have been trashing the monarchy, calling it colonialism 2.0, rather than, and they're asking the wrong question, rather than saying, why is she still using these titles that she claimed were colonialist and stuff like that, you know? And by the way, guys, do you know how ignorant they are? Do you know who was the original owner of Buckingham Palace?
The
No.
original owner of Buckingham
Yes,
Palace?
yes. George III bought Buckingham Palace for his wife, Queen Charlotte, who was black, biracial. They were
Oh,
at Buckingham Palace. So, and not only that, she was queen. She was effectively queen for 57 years because George III went woo, and
crazy.
everybody
Yeah.
knew.
Yeah.
And her
Mad.
oldest son, their oldest son, tried to fight and say, "Hey, my dad is crazy. You shouldn't be ruling, right?"
Yeah.
And but the parliament took sides with her, so they knew that she was actually the ruler, which is Queen Charlotte. And you know that Charlotte in North Carolina, because she was queen of the United States until 1776.
Right. Yeah. There's a great museum that talks about her and the correlation between the state and the monarchy. And yeah,
It
that's,
is interesting because I was just
yeah.
watching, and I'll send it to you guys if you want it. This lady called in the United States wrote a book called The Invisible Queen.
Oh, I've
And
heard of
she
it.
says, I don't know why they made such a fuss in the UK about Meghan being biracial, that the queen said that she was surprised about being biracial because she's biracial. Sir. That's absolutely BS. Maybe in America didn't know that, but all Brits
Yeah.
in Canada, we know that. I mean, come on
Hmm.
now. We're taught that in Canada because we're Canadians. You know, when you go to
Yep.
school, they teach about the history where Queen Philippa, who also was black, mixed race before Queen Charlotte. And we're taught that. But the lady's writing it and she's saying nobody taught us that in high school in the US. So now she wrote a book. It's called The Invisible Queen because she ruled for 57 years. And not only that, Queen Charlotte, she was the first abolitionist because, of course, she was half black. And in protest for the slavery trade, she forbade sugar. because most slaves were used for the sugar cane fields and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
nobody teaches you that. Nobody tells you that she was the first. She's the discovered Mozart because she loved music, and there was this 8-year-old little boy, and he would come to her castle, and basically she discovered Mozart.
Mm.
But
But
that's too hard, Paula. That's too hard to discover things and to learn things and to
Yeah.
be educated. It's so much easier to be woke and broken and punch down and be part of this group, because if you raise the standards, that's a lot of work, and people
It's a
don't
lot of
want to
work.
actually do the work, right? They have to
Mhm.
lower the standards, they feel better
Mhm.
together, and then they have to disparage things because that's the company they're keeping. And I think that this is why I really get motivated by this whole thing that's going on, or this example of Meghan and people like her, is because it always underscores the importance of having a purpose, being educated, having something to
Mhm.
do. Because when you don't, this is what happens,
Yep, we
and this is
fall
what I
for it.
fear for the younger generation, when they use that as that they're the mentors, or they're aspiring to be like that. It's like you're aspiring to be nothing, to actually accomplish
Mhm.
nothing, and just sit and complain, or just want IPP status, or just be diplomatic immunity so you could travel and trash without actually contributing.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yep,
Mhm.
so true.
but
Mm.
it's something that we have to, and I think that now people, I hate to say this, but people our generation, because I'm 56, and it's for me, and I was talking to Pat today because we talk all the time. Oh, we're gonna show one last clip of George because you have to go watch it. But I was saying to Pat with my grandpa, it's like, I dislocated my knee. Go learn how to ride a horse. So I was like 5 or 6, and they had to hop me on the horse, and it's like, okay, what do I do? Just don't fall off.
Mhm. Mhm.
I remember hanging on to dear life to that horse, and then my ass was sore because then you learn, okay, I have to hop up, and it's like, and your knee gets dislocated. They call the local lady, and she puts it back on. She has these big strong arms, and they put a thing in and just walk it off. But now
Yeah,
the generation, it's like, oh my God, Harry and Meghan calling themselves victims. And
that's just
something that I want to talk to you, because this is applies to you, George, because we know your experience that you went through as a child, right?
mhm.
And what I was talking to in communication yesterday said that Harry and Meghan have a tendency that if you don't agree with them, it's always a life or death situation. If you don't
Mhm.
like the social thing, somebody will die. If I don't
Mhm.
get my way, somebody will die. It's like you
Mhm.
didn't give me the security. It's a life of death of this situation for me. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's always taking it to extremes.
Mhm.
But
Like,
that's what con men do, though. They
Yeah.
exaggerate the variables. It's
Yes.
look at the organization they set up for the one for families who have lost children to social media bullying or social media. And then 24 hours later, you got Megan posting the pictures, of course, of the backs of her children, or
Right.
Harry posting, like, wait a
Mhm.
minute, you just set up an organization because you said there's too much social media and kids are being used, but it's okay. Let me go over here and start posting the backs of my kids and the sides of my kids and the hands of my kids and
Mhm.
using them
Yeah.
like props. Again, everything is, they speak out of both sides of their mouth because they're for profit philanthropists. They
Yeah.
Yeah.
need money. Money is what they need. I think that's the other reason Harry wants the government to pay for his security, because I don't care how much money you have. If you take the basic example that's been laid out from Deadline to the Hollywood Reporter to Vanity Fair to Daily Mail to InStyle, and the cut over the last 2 years of what their basic yearly budget is for mortgages and
Mhm.
insurance, and having a minimum of 20 staff to run their property. You're like, I don't care how much money you got. That is not limitless because you're not bringing in the same amount.
Mhm.
It has an
Mhm.
expiration date. $25 million from, or 23 million from Penguin. 100 million from Netflix based on performance and ratings. It's not, here's $100 million. It's
Right.
how much
Right.
did your first one do? Cool. Here's
Mhm.
your 5 million. Oh, next one flop. Yeah. Here's your 100 grand. Next. Oh, And then
Right.
you weigh that up versus their budget. No.
And Paula, I was thinking about what you just said too, where it's like this false sense of urgency. It's like everything's high stakes, everything's high drama. And for people like Harry and Meghan, it serves them very well, because then anyone that disagrees, anyone that is what they see as a detractor, is just an automatic enemy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's just so much easier for them to
And
paint
it's hate speech.
everybody. Yeah. It's hate speech. They want us dead. And I'm sure she could probably, like George was saying, they start this organization, less than 24 hours later, we see the backs of their heads. Well, someone like her she'll definitely be able to justify anything that she does, because that's also how they operate. There's no personal accountability. There's nothing. Their reality, our reality is not their reality. They're divorced from reality, and they have rules, that they can abide by, that just don't apply to anybody else. So it doesn't matter that she's banging on about how the internet is unsafe for children. She can show us her children because it's on her terms.
Right. That's why I'm like, how many of y'all think that as ever was successful? Just curious, because because it's like, where is the follow-up? You said, oh, it sold out so fast in under an hour. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, but you don't talk about how much you were selling.
Correct. But shouldn't you be restocked?
Yeah, by now, if you want to make money, wouldn't you?
It's been almost a month. Yeah. I mean, if you were serious about building your SKUs, you know how she's always talking about her tranche of SKUs, SKUs. She's real big on the bit. She wants us to think she's really in the thick of this business, right? She's with her SKUs and her packaging. And well, why isn't anything replenished on the website? To me, that doesn't instill confidence as a customer. I'm thinking like, do I want to place an order? Am I going to see anything? Yeah. Probably not.
And wouldn't she want to be making money and getting the items back up for sale if she's really trying to sell them? It doesn't make sense.
Because I don't think it exists.
I'm in manufacturing.
Yeah. And weren't she supposed to, wasn't Netflix supposed to be selling that shit anyways?
They are. Maybe. It's supposed to start it's supposed to start in September in two malls, the Mall of America and the Galleria in Dallas. But here's the problem. That is going to be a bad Netflix decision for one reason. Discovery Channel used to have 120 stores across the country. They shut down. No one goes. That's like, no one buys that. You don't go to the store and go, yeah, I would like to have the Squid Game suicide drink. Like, I want the Meghan Markle Ziploc pretzel bag. Like, literally.
Right. I mean, you just look at what people did for the jam with the king. Like when she started talking about jam, the king's jam sold out. I mean,
Harry has such a horrible life. He should bottle hemlock. Harry's hemlock. Take it when you hate your life. I mean, it's like, come on.
Yeah.
You know that Manuela lives close by Jordan Peterson. I don't know if you know that, George.
No, I love Jordan.
He's your neighbor.
Wow.
Like, yeah. We need to get George monologues distributed to a lot of people. And I'm going to start today with somebody because I've forgotten I had that connection. I completely forgot about it. And then, but now we're going to use it because, guys, we're going to listen to another clip because this is just beautiful. Sorry.
The elected man who loved his country's flag. This was the new day. And the aftershocks hit harder than Gina Carano's lawsuit against Disney and Justine Bateman's wise-based words. Canada panicked. Trudeau curled into a ball, put on blackface, then whimpered mommy before standing up and looking to the cameras to say people kind, all before exiting public life. Panama's president looked out the window to see if American flags already lined the canal. Colombia's president bent the knee so fast his government got whiplash and the world thought they were French. Mexico put up 10 cities so fast for Biden's border brothers. And then Germany pulled down all the refugees' welcome banners to bury them back in another unmarked grave to add to their collection. And then you had the UK citizens. They demanded heat and freedom, not DEI bobbies locking away all their blokes simply for posting their beloved Union Jacks. Japan threw a parade, Italy partied, Israel smiled, Hungary hungered for more, and the Greeks left the sheep alone long enough to say opa. And as for Hollywood, well, half of Hollywood congratulated number 47. The other half, well, they still haven't figured out the fact they're adult pretenders getting paid to pretend. They can't figure out why people didn't listen to them. The very same people that they scolded, demonized, lectured, attacked, called toxic for years. All those people, like you and me, they stopped listening. They started doing their own thing. They started speaking the truth to power. Then suddenly, like an ex waking up from a 6-year gaslighting relationship, the world finally saw what a freak show it had become. The TikTok sermons, the hormone evangelists, the man bun philosophers whose biggest problem was trying to find another hot pocket in their mommy's basement, the soy baristas treating cops like criminals and criminals like customers, the progressive husbands who braided their wives' hair as their wives' boyfriends bent them over in full beast mode.
People kind. That
I
just
mean,
makes me laugh.
it's amazing. It's such a great. You guys have to go watch it. And I mean, I watch it all the time, and it's why it hits home for me. Like right now, we're watching Diddy. The Diddy trials started,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's going to
And
be, yeah. Mm-hmm.
that's gonna be juicy because half of Hollywood is involved in that, and
Yeah.
everything. Is like everybody's quiet about it. The news is quiet about it.
And no, well, because you have to remember how many servers he has. In the messages that were released, I think that he had sent to his cousin that the New York Post reported on 3 months ago, where he said, "Did you get the pizza boxes?" And the pizza boxes was reference to all the servers
Yes.
of the raid because every room was wired with multiple cameras. So,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
the cousin was
wow.
like, "Yeah, I got them all." So, I wanted to ask Manuela because you tried to say something earlier. You said you were in manufacturing, or you had
Yeah,
manufacturing.
I'm in manufacturing, and that was high. And when you were talking about the jams and her as ever was successful, I'm in manufacturing, and I know we make skincare, we do private label, I do innovation, right? And a lot of times I have people that come to me that they want to create something, right? And so when they do that, we always say, okay, when you sell out or when this happens, you have a plan. So you're always feeding this entity, right? So when you
Mm-hmm.
go into business, and I'm just really gobsmacked, I guess that's the best word to use with her, is that there's got to be somebody around her or a junior or an assistant that had put something together, because if you're dealing with a manufacturer and you're making jam or spread or that liquid that she's making, they want to sell more, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so they've got to have a reorder, they've got to do something. So it just seems very bizarre how this is all set up, even how it sells out. And even if when you're using Shopify, because behind the scenes they have inventory management tools for you, they send you emails, they send you updates. I mean, it's really difficult to get lost in the business when you're starting out and you have means like she does. So
Right.
the whole thing is very bizarre.
So she should, by your experience, selling out. How long would something like that take to fill again? Like to fill an order? She sells out one day. Is it a month? Is it 3 months? Is it?
Maximum it's a month, because think about it, her packaging's already selected, her labels are selected, they have the recipe. I mean, they're the ingredients are simple. It's not like you're like sometimes we have to go to France or Asia or something to get a specific ingredient, a specific technology. There's zero technology in what she makes. It's sugar and fruit. So this is something you go in your back. You could go to the grocery store and put the components together if you had to. A manufacturer could do that. Everything is local in that sense. Anybody who's in food manufacturing would easily be able to get the fruit and the sugar and whatever. And the jars they're not custom. This is not a specific mold, blow mold that they put together. The labels are very simplistic. And when you run labels, when you run 2,000 labels or 5,000 labels, I mean, the difference in the label cost is a penny. So you're going to have them there ready to go. It just doesn't make sense.
I
Yeah, and I
just think
look.
she's not gonna do it anymore, to tell you the truth. She already said that she sold, she put that in her CV, and I think she sold the jam to justify being a female founder and do the podcast. I think that she's done.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
I know her.
that's the take of the woman.
I know her podcast is done. You saw 6 days after it premiered was 6.5. It got knocked off of Spotify's top 100 charts.
Yeah.
Do you know a show last week about sleeping
Yeah.
beat her show?
Beat her show.
And then it got knocked off of Apple's top 200. So it's like off of the 200, 100.
Yeah.
Again, she's not authentic. People want real. They don't want suck ups coming on. Oh wow, Megan, you're wonderful, Megan. I didn't know
And
how
have you
many ways.
noticed? Have you noticed, you guys, everybody on that show is either someone that she's probably begging for business advice behind the scenes, because we're not getting the real deets on the podcast. It's just a
Yeah.
lot of ass kissing. But or it's somebody that she's invested in herself. Like when she had the highbrow hippie lady, she's
Okay.
invested in that company. And then the gal that she had just this past one, the
Clever.
Clever Blends,
Mhm.
she so you know what I mean? Everything's self-serving. It still has nothing to do to help the listener out on an entrepreneurial journey, so to speak. It's all
Right.
serving her.
And
Right.
where's Beyonce?
Yeah.
Beyonce won't go there.
Of course not. Or Taylor Swift.
Or
That-
Kerry
that-
Washington
Maybe
or
when
Tyler
Gwyneth
Perry.
Maybe Gwyneth Paltrow will go, since Gwyneth Paltrow did what she did, But it's
Yeah.
interesting to see because we have 1 hour and a half, guys, and I want you to urge to go please check out George the Giant Slayer, and please check out the woke monologues because it is I listen to it all the time, and it's George. It's basically spot on, and it when you listen to it, then you understand. Because I usually get angry at why people like Amber Heard have a platform, why like Rachel Meghan Markle still has a platform, even Oprah. You lied to us, Oprah. We knew you were taking the pill when you were on that thing on stage on Weight Watchers, and you lied.
Yeah, she
You lied
did.
to us when you said that you were just using Weight Watchers when you were taking, like I don't know what's it called, Ozempic or something like that.
Yeah.
And when she was cut out, you were lying to us. And it's like Jussie Smollett.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
It's
I mean, I mean, why are these people? So whenever I listen to your walk monologues, and okay, it makes sense. But at the same time, it's hopeful because
Right.
a lot of people, what they say to me, oh, nothing is ever going to change, and I said, nothing is ever going to change if we stop doing things.
Correct. You have to move forward. You have to bring it out into the light. And I think, yeah, I believe that 100%, 100%. And I thank you for sharing it so much. I really appreciate
No,
that.
no. Oh, are you kidding? I love it. And like I think I'm gonna be contacting. I forgot. I'm so sorry I forgot them, but I'm so stupid. It's my age. Manuela and Pidina know because when I talk to them, I start talking about something and then I end up talking about something completely different.
let's
So
give a shout out to all the super stickers and chats. My
oh, yeah,
friend
yes.
Michelle
And
got
then
super
please go
sticker.
subscribe to George and watch because that is a 3-year labor of love. And I mean, it's amazing. I want to thank Honesty and Truth, Michelle, um, Herzegovin Balin. I'm sorry if I've mispronounced your name.
Oh, Yorkshire Teacup for the super sticker.
Where is that?
Herzogen von Balen.
Oh, yeah, you
She
speak.
says that
I forgot about the Yorkshire teacup.
she
Thank you so very much,
she
everybody.
wanted hold on one second. She wanted to say, I wonder wait a minute. I wonder can a letters patent be drafted to circumvent Prince Harry and Spawn in case something
Yeah.
happens before Prince George is of age to ascend to throne?
Well, the thing is that the king can request, just like the queen did, to amend the Succession Act, right? Or Parliament can offer. But here's the thing: anything that affects the royal family needs the monarch's consent. So before it goes to Parliament, because the succession, moving the line of succession would affect the interest of the crown, they have to phone. They usually phone them first and say, "We're thinking of putting forth this bill, right? Changing this and that." So the monarch has to give consent, and if the monarch doesn't give consent, it doesn't get into Parliament. Anything
Mhm.
and this is why I'm going to have a treat, guys, because I'm going to have an author on Monday, who's an expert in royalty. He's publishing his book, just that, and it's. Please understand that the monarch's consent and the monarch's assent is different. Like
Mm.
monarch's consent, anything that has to do with the interest of the crown, the monarch has to be consulted to see if it's going to be debated in Parliament. So, of course, if it goes against their business thing, like taxing or something, they're going to say, no, we don't want that. So it doesn't get discussed. Assent
Mhm.
is when Parliament passes a bill and the king or the monarch has to sign it, and stuff like that.
Okay.
But I want to thank you all for being here. I want to thank George, the
Thank you.
Giant Slayer. We're gonna keep this. We're gonna keep showing his monologues because this is gonna blow up. Trust me, George. We're gonna get you to for people to understand what a wonderful job it is. I love those monologues people like us who have common sense. You know,
They're
I want to.
smart.
Yeah, I want to thank you.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to
Thank
meet
you.
all of you again.
Yes,
Diana, it's great to see you.
I see you too,
And
George.
Nice to
Manuela
Uh,
meet you
is
all.
actually a female founder. She owns her own company in Canada. It's built in Canada. It's Canadian.
and
Is
the products are amazing.
Yes, thank
Oh
you
my
for that.
goodness.
I
I
can't wait
can't
for
wait to
mine.
do a video on it because it's just amazing how, I mean, my skin feels so much better. I feel like it's being nourished, and the different creams that I have. I mean, I seriously, I've never ever had anything like these products.
See, that's
I
because,
work for
university educated and in the laboratory for the last 30 years. It doesn't just happen all of a
right.
Right.
sudden by
Yeah.
accident, right? It's
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
hard work and sticking to the truth, which was science, which
y-
actually was
Mhm.
mathematics.
Good.
Yes.
And that's it, and just keeping at it. So I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
You're
I
the
I'm
type
glad.
of person that needs to go on Megan's podcast, Manuela.
Yeah,
Like,
you're
Yeah,
the
You want
type.
me to be Markled?
well, no, no, no. She's scared of people like you because you actually know what you're talking about. You're not full of you know what.
Yeah,
and
right.
her
She
yeah.
company is
wants.
Right.
in Canada. Her company is in Canada. It's got
It is a kind
ISO
of, and we're
9000.
vertically integrated.
Oh wow, good.
We do
That's
everything. We
that is.
do the innovation, the packaging, everything because I didn't know what I was doing and I couldn't trust outside, sources. Like we started with, 2 nickels. Like we were like it was like a blender and an idea. And that's how we
Wow.
stuck with it.
Wow.
And
I
this is
love
why
that.
I believe you can make something out of nothing. And then yet these people have everything and they're turning
Everything.
it into nothing. And they're
Nothing.
actually
Right.
turning it into negative, you
Yes,
know?
yes,
I think you
yes.
put that brilliantly. That's exactly right. I mean, you took something
Mhm.
from the ground up and you built it, and they're taking something that's been built over 1,000 years, hand it to them, and then flushing it down the
Right.
drain.
Exactly.
It's very odd. It's that whole my truth thing, personal truth thing. It's like, could you imagine? Have y'all actually seen it? I refuse to put any of it in a video, but I was
But
watching the videos of how some of the people were using the jam. It's like water.
Yeah, it
Have
looked
you
Yeah.
ever-
very liquidy.
Sauce.
oh my
Yeah.
God, George, did you see actually one of the fans that she tried it and she's like,
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that video.
and she goes like,
Well, what about the woman who's suing
very
her now?
sweet. She goes, and she's trying to say something really. You can see that she's trying really hard to say something. It's
Yes.
kind of runny, but she said that it was runny, and
And
I would.
sour or sour, salty or something. It wasn't even the right sensation. It was like runny and
What
something.
Yeah.
about the Epsom salt, the one who's suing for 10 million?
Oh my God! Oh, but did
Yeah.
you see the answer of the lawyer?
I did. I saw it. Looks typical lawyer. We're not liable for anything.
Here's the
Yeah.
interesting thing about
Yeah.
Are
that.
they though?
I don't
Is
know.
I did a little video on it on TikTok and on the thing because we are talking about it because this whole thing about her bath salt and so they basically replied that if you're diabetic, like you should know your skin and therefore not use the Epsom salt. The Epsom salt does not cause the burn. The burn is the
No.
essential oil.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And so
Ah.
it's again trying to make you deceive you and trying to make you look at something else. And the reason why the oil is burning is because there was no emulsifier and dilution with the oils. So those
Oh.
oils, see, oil will sit like oil and water, like when you make salad dressing, you put vinegar and olive oil together. You
Yeah.
notice that they stay separated, right? You
Yes.
can you can shake it, but at a minute later they're still separated. So now imagine you go into a bathtub and you've got oil on top, water on the bottom. You're going through this hot oil because essential oils can be a little bit more, let's say, spicy. I'm going to use that as a word when you're in the tub. So they're interacting directly with your skin. But if you took that same formula, added an emulsifier, which blends the oil and the water together, like when you
Mhm.
put a mustard in your salad dressing and shake
Yes,
it,
they
all of a
come
sudden
together.
it's all
Yeah.
uniform.
Yeah.
Now you can go into that water and you won't burn yourself. So this is a simple kind of fix or a way around it. But when they're saying that this person with diabetes should have known, The Epsom salt will cause some dehydration. It's not going to cause the burn or the ulcers the way they're
Go on,
talking about.
Castable. I don't. That's, by the way, that's Jennifer's channel. Actually, she was featured in the Daily Mail
Yeah.
because
GB
she's the one who
News.
brought
Yeah.
up the whatchamacallit, the thing about the salt. So what was it that burnt that lady?
It's the oils on top.
The
So
essential
it's
oils.
the
Yeah,
essential oils.
yeah,
Plus the
she
arnica is used badly too. The
yeah,
arnica is
she
not
didn't put a
one to
carrier
be.
oil in, and that's what can cause those
Yeah.
burns.
Interesting.
And I want to ask
So
you
you need to
because
dilute it and then you need to emulsify it. So there's two things, right? So you
Yep.
take your essential oil, the carrier is kind of neutral. So you put the little bit of essential oil into a carrier. This dilutes it and then you emulsify it. So now it joins all together. So now you've traded things that are separated by weight, that they all come together in the formula. And now you take something that could burn you to something that actually can soothe you.
Oh, I see.
This is why the chemistry is important. This is why the science is important. This is why we say don't just, people would think, people who are like us that are in the skincare, whatever, that, and we say don't always do a DIY project because it's not good for you. People think, well, you say that because you want to sell product. No, we say that because we want to protect you. We don't want you to burn yourself or get an infection or have bacteria. Like there's so much more to it when you're putting things together.
I'm just surprised that nobody at Netflix had any kind of disclaimer or any legal person, just like with Harry's book about the Taliban. Like, where are they getting the people that are supposed to advise them? It's probably them not listening.
They're listening.
I just think it's bad business when you do anything with Harry and Meghan, because you're going to find yourself in a predicament with, some legal backlash because they just don't want to do things the way you need to do them to protect yourself.
And did you guys? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, okay.
I was going to say, No, you're fine, Manuela. Go ahead.
I also work with TV shopping channels, right? The QVCs, HSNs of the world. And just for something simple as I have a product called Fast Lift Eye Serum, right? And that word lift, just because I have the word lift on the name of the product, I actually have to have documentation and a clinical study by a third-party laboratory with a minimum of 25 people that demonstrates the lift. Right?
Yes.
Just to say, just even have, not even make it a claim, just to have it on my label. So the fact that they're able to run this program and not have anybody vet it or put any kind of disclaimer or double check their work is again, it's just outstanding. It's
very careless by Netflix, I think.
Yes,
very careless.
It's
to
like
allow this woman to just do her show and to just lollyfoot on there and say whatever she wants and not really double checking what she's doing. Because people were talking about the Epsom salt thing before this lawsuit even came out. There were questions about the amount, what she was putting in there. And I just think it's very reckless of Netflix not to follow behind what Meghan wanted to do for her show and to make sure it was all sound. Just
well, for people who keep talking about keeping me safe, how come they're not keeping other people safe?
No, they don't care. That's the reality. They're the ones who supported it was a few years ago. I don't remember if it was Harry or Meghan, but Seattle was coming out with a bill where they didn't want in their high schools. It was no longer necessary to have high school graduates pass math or English. I mean, you have it. Can you imagine that? You do not know how to add and subtract or read, but you can still graduate.
What does that do to the workforce? What does that do to the future?
Yeah, it turns around and makes serfs, basically. Yeah, sheep who will have to do what they're told because they won't be able to eat otherwise.
But doesn't she have a double major?
Who? Meghan, what?
Doesn't she have a double major in international relations, although that doesn't exist at Northwestern University? It's actually international studies and theater.
Right, but remember, it was popular in Hollywood, and she was trying to break into. That's the whole thing. She wants that Hollywood crowd, that red carpet cult, that everything that they push. It's insane. It's insane. Some of the things that are going on.
Well, we want to thank everybody who joined us today. Please go subscribe to Pidina, if you're watching from my channel, go subscribe to. I will leave the links for everybody. But most of all, I want to thank George for coming. You are such a
Thank you.
legend. I am so honored that you're
No,
here.
y'all are incredible. I'm glad you had me. I'd love to do it again. Yeah, y'all are
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, yeah.
But,
So once
but
in a while,
before we go, I'm sorry, before we go, we have to finish these super stickers. We have to
Yeah.
give
there's
your
more.
shout outs. Yeah, there's, well, I want to thank my friend Michelle. She says that he should go to Afghanistan. Okay, I think that's a good one,
Oh,
Michelle.
but he said he did do tours of Afghanistan.
Well, yeah, but go again. I mean, I don't know, like
He's
what?
saying go enjoy it.
Yeah, go
Yeah.
go to Afghanistan. Then honesty and truth, she says, look at the what is it? The added
Addled.
water. What is it?
The
Look at
looted
this
Addled.
adult.
deluded addled.
No,
What's
no way are the Brits paying for this treacherous, full and venomous, spiteful, nasty. Why? You know
hey,
your needs are for those that got paid the ultimate sacrifice 80 years ago and beyond. That's exactly right. Honesty and
Yeah.
truth.
That's
Yes,
such a
yes, yes.
disservice to veterans.
Yeah.
Like people who actually risk their lives and people who know me. You guys know that I'm a hardcore, for me, a veteran, a soldier, somebody who's risking their lives. To me, that's untouchable. And Harry is not one of them soldiers. Okay.
Right. He's not the same. Right. He
No,
is not
no.
the
In
Bunker
fact,
same.
Harry.
I do my
Yes.
lives with well, actually I'm doing tomorrow live with Matt the Angry Bootnik. He was a Royal Marine, and it's like he did 5 proper tours, and he's like proper tours, and he was like this guy what this did not do anything like I did. He was not a foot soldier. This is why he's called the boot,
Yeah.
the Angry Bootnik, because it's like they get boot. It's a saying in England, but
Yeah.
he's not a veteran. So when he said in his interview, "I've given 35 years of service to this country," like,
Yeah.
isn't
oh
he just 40?
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
he's like, how could it be 35 years? I was thinking the same thing. Like, what? I think no, I think that the lady said that, not Harry. Was
No,
it
he
No,
not the
said
Harry
it.
said
I
it.
no,
think
he
his
No,
said
he
it.
said
Harry
it.
said
significance
it?
He
is
said it.
service.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
because
Okay.
him
he's
being there
counting.
is service.
He
That's
said
what he's counting. He's counting his birth.
He's
From
counting when
then.
he was, yeah, in his army uniform with Princess Diana when he got into that
But that
that
also
truck.
shows.
yeah.
But think about that though for a second before we go. That also shows you again his mindset. Whenever you hear from Prince William or Princess Catherine, they are like, "We're here for the people."
Yeah.
Harry is like, "Look what I've done for all of you. I was born into this, and I've been serving you." It shows his hate. That's
Yes.
why I
Yes.
always go back. I go, no matter how many people believe, and I'm sure he's been manipulated. But I think he's been manipulated by Meghan willingly. I think he married Meghan to use as a murder weapon against his family.
Well, this is the point. Also, I just want to make it to your point, George. The lady that sent a super sticker, she says to me, and I believe this: Harry and Meghan started planning Megxit during the 6 months of dating.
Oh, yeah.
Um, I believe right in the beginning they started planning all of this, and I think Meghan got Harry to like buy into this before it was like not much time had passed within their
No,
relationship, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
She
agree.
did that.
No, but it's we're watching right now. The one thing that gives me hope, guys, is the fact that from this old lady, I just feel like I think that people are waking up. People are really waking up, and people like you, George, talking and doing this beautiful walk. Go watch the walk monologue, guys. You have to watch it. I mean, he is so brilliant, so well spoken.
Took
I
3
mean,
years to write too. I mean,
Great.
that tells you the commitment
no,
to
but I don't know how
book
you didn't.
monologue.
I don't know how you remember every. I mean, were you reading it? It's unbelievable because you were talking with such passion. I mean, you must have practiced a lot the delivery, but I can see the passion in it. It's
No,
yeah.
I just memorize it. It's something because I memorize it. It's something that I love and believe in. So, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
so it's
well.
More
pretty
people
good.
need to see it. More people need to see that.
Thank you.
Yes, yes, and we're gonna work on it. So thank you very much,
Absolutely.
and thank you
Thank you,
for
Lizzie
Thank
B,
you.
for the gifted membership, for the P
and
Dina
thank you
membership.
everybody. Please, I will leave the link
Thank
on
you,
my
Paula.
channel of all the things and the woke monologues. You will find it at the end of this live. I will put it on. There's a little box that comes. You can click on that, and it'll take you to the woke monologues. And thank you to Jennifer, Manuela. Thank
Thank
you
you
for
so
my
much.
neck. You know that you can use that video so you can
Yes.
show people. I'm only using this today because I need to hear. But I now I'm doing my things with this because I don't have look.
Look.
That's great.
And I'm loving. I'm loving. I ran out of the Botox, liquid Botox for my eyes. I was literally crying. I looked at Siri, who's sleeping in the bed, and I said, "Siri, we're screwed." Because
Paula, you're something else,
That's
girl.
funny.
I only used like a little drop, and I was like, I'm putting here, and it's like I'm there, and it's like, it's so I'm looking
Funny
forward to
Claire.
getting the next products. And I want to thank you, George, because
Thank you.
I love you, and and Jennifer, um, so excited about you. Thank you for coming, and I
Thank you,
told
Paula.
we should do a video of beautician because meet Manuela because Manuela does skin products and you do makeup, so that would
There
be
you
fun.
go.
It's a
And
great
then
combo.
great combo. So we should do
Hmm.
a
That'd be
theme
fun.
Monday for ladies, like especially for women over 40 or whatever. Like for me, it's gonna
Hmm.
be 60 pretty soon. I can't believe it. Manuel is 62.
That's
You
right.
look great, girl.
Wow,
Thank
Wow,
you.
none of
really?
Thank you.
y'all
Yeah.
all look amazing. So I'm glad that I was here with
Now,
all of you.
George, you
Well
know
said,
what to
George. Well
say.
said.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. So can you imagine?
Yes.
Just a thought came to my head. Can you imagine if Harry had gone through what you went through as a child?
Uh,
We would never hear the end of this.
yeah, he's just
Or it would have given him character, or
Yeah,
he would have
or would have
actually
you?
gotten
Oh,
yeah.
stronger.
that's a
It would
good
have given him so
Yeah.
much character. He wouldn't be in this predicament that he's in
No.
now.
Because he really would have seen something and
Yeah.
know
yeah.
what's
Right.
right and wrong
Right. He
and
hasn't
and
seen
do
trouble.
better. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
think about what happened to Princess Anne. You don't see her giving interviews on the BBC about how traumatized she is and
Right.
how it,
When
right?
yeah, right. When
No.
she
Give a
got at
break.
gunpoint, yeah. I mean,
No,
I
actually, she
think
made
my
fun of it.
favorite line from that, right, was when he had her at gunpoint and said,
yeah.
"You're coming with me," and she said, "Not bloody
No.
likely."
I
Right.
know.
No, and
That's
there's another one in Parkinson when she said, we were fighting and fighting, and he ripped my dress, and she goes, and that was his most dangerous moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
but that's where makes again, she has character. Look,
Yes.
she even carries her own suitcases. You remember when
Oh, yeah.
every time the Megans come back, what do you see? The entourage carrying. You're like, Princess Anne
Hmm.
carries her own, you can't carry your own. Like again,
Right.
Oh
It's
my
like,
just
god.
so bad.
Thank
It
you
won't
anyways.
end well for
This has
them.
been so lovely. I loved it today, and I love having George surrounded by all these women. Thank
that's
you so
beautiful.
very much for coming. Thank you so very much. And I'm
Okay.
going to leave all the details for all of you guys. And please let's go show some love and watch the Woke Monologues. And we're all going to put it on our channel, the Woke Monologues, so
Yes.
everybody
Yes.
can spread them. And have
Thank
a great
you.
Saturday, beautiful people. And I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay.
Bye,
Bye,
Bye
everyone.
bye.
everybody.
Bye,
Bye bye.
everyone.
Bye.